Commander Lee Hyun stood at the control center of the human space station floating near Jupiter. His hands gripped the metal rail as he watched the large screen in front of him. The message that appeared made his blood run cold. Every alien race in the galaxy had joined together to send one clear message to all humans. The Valar with their crystal bodies, the Vortak who lived in gas clouds, the Metal Nexari and 50 other alien species had all agreed on something for the first time in history. Humans must stop expanding beyond their home solar system, the electronic voice said through the speakers. You have 30 days to decide. Stay in your solar system with limited trade, or face complete isolation from the galaxy. Lee Hyun felt his heart beating faster. Behind him, Officer Park Mira was recording everything. Her face was pale as she listened to the alien complaints. Humans are too aggressive, one alien voice said. They form emotional bonds with other species instead of keeping proper distance. They refuse to follow our rules, another voice added. They make decisions based on feelings instead of logic. They are unpredictable and dangerous to galactic peace, a third voice concluded. Lee Hyun had served in space for 20 years. He had seen humans build colonies on Mars, establish mining stations in the asteroid belt, and create settlements on distant worlds. Now the entire galaxy wanted to cage them like dangerous animals. The message ended with a final warning. Choose wisely, humans. 30 days. The screen went dark. The control room fell silent except for the soft hum of the station's engines. Lee Hyun turned to his crew. Their faces showed the same shock and anger he felt inside. Send this message to Earth immediately, he ordered Park Mira. The president needs to know what we're facing. 3 days later, Earth's leaders gathered in the capital city. President Choi Min sat at a large table surrounded by advisors, generals, and diplomats. The room was filled with tension as they debated humanity's response. We should accept their terms, said Foreign Minister Yang Su, wiping sweat from his forehead. If we refuse, we lose access to alien technology. No more hyperspace travel. No more advanced medicine. No more. No more freedom, Admiral Nam Ki interrupted, standing up from his chair. The old soldier's eyes burned with determination. I fought in 3 wars to keep humanity free. I won't stop now because aliens are afraid of us. President Choi Min looked at the reports spread across the table. Millions of humans lived on colonies beyond Earth. They had built farms on distant planets, mining operations in dangerous asteroid fields, and research stations near black holes. These people depended on Earth for supplies and support. What will happen to our colonies if we're isolated? Asked Dr. Lim Sung, the science advisor. They'll have to survive on their own, Admiral Nam Ki replied. But humans are survivors. We've always found a way. Minister Yang Su shook his head. You're talking about abandoning millions of people. The aliens have technology we can't match. They control the hyperspace routes. Without them, our colonies will die. Maybe, the Admiral said. Or maybe they'll become stronger. Humans do their best work when their backs are against the wall. The debate continued for hours. Some leaders wanted to accept the alien demands. Others refused to surrender human freedom. President Choi Min listened to every argument, weighing the future of her species in her mind. Finally she spoke. The aliens say we're too emotional, too aggressive, too human. They want us to change who we are to fit their rules. She stood up and walked to the window overlooking the city. Millions of people went about their daily lives below, unaware that their future was being decided in this room. Our ancestors left Earth to explore the stars because that's what humans do. We explore. We build. We help others even when it's dangerous. The aliens call these things weaknesses. I call them our greatest strengths. She turned back to face the room. We've never backed down from a challenge before. The resource wars tried to break us, but we survived. The Mars colonization nearly killed us, but we succeeded. Now the entire galaxy wants to put us in a cage. General Park Dae, head of Earth's military, leaned forward. What are you saying, Madam President? I'm saying we are human, she replied firmly. We don't bow to threats. We don't accept limitations on our freedom. If the galaxy wants to isolate us, then we'll show them what isolated humans can accomplish. The vote was close, but the decision was made. Earth would reject the alien ultimatum. As the 30-day deadline approached, humans across the galaxy waited nervously. On Mars, terraforming crews continued their work. In the asteroid belt, miners extracted valuable metals. On distant colony worlds, farmers tended their crops. They all knew their lives were about to change forever. Lee Hyun stood on his station again, preparing to send Earth's response to the waiting aliens. President Choi Min's voice came through the speakers, clear and strong. To the Galactic Confederation, she began. Humanity has made its choice. We will not accept confinement. We will not surrender our freedom to explore and grow. We stand firm in our principles even if it means standing alone. The message ended. Within hours, every hyperspace route to human space was blocked. Trade ships turned away from Earth's borders. Diplomatic channels went silent. The galaxy had turned its back on humanity. The isolation had begun. But in research labs on Mars, engineers were already designing new technologies. On colony worlds, farmers were developing better crops. In the depths of space, human crews prepared to prove that isolation wouldn't break them. The aliens thought they were punishing humanity. Instead, they had given them the greatest gift possible, the chance to show what humans could accomplish when they had nothing left to lose but each other. 6 months after the galaxy closed its doors on humanity, Captain O'Day walked through the corridors of mining station New Hope. The station floated in empty space near the Kepler system, farther from Earth than any human had ever lived permanently. According to the aliens, this place should have been abandoned by now. Instead, the station buzzed with more activity than ever before. "Captain, the new drilling equipment is working perfectly," reported Chief Engineer Bei Young, her face glowing with pride. "We're pulling twice as much metal from the asteroids as we did with the old alien machines." O'Day smiled as she looked out the window at the busy mining ships. When the isolation started, everyone expected the outer colonies to fail quickly. Earth could no longer send supply ships. The alien corporations that bought human metals had canceled all contracts. Many people thought the remote settlements would simply run out of food and die. They were wrong. "How's our food situation?" O'Day asked. "Better than expected," Bei Young replied. "The hydroponics bays are producing more vegetables than we can eat. Dr. Kim Jun figured out how to grow protein-rich algae that actually tastes good. We haven't needed supplies from Earth in 3 months." This was happening all across human space. On Mars, scientist Dr. Lim Sung had made a breakthrough in atmosphere processing that worked better than anything the aliens had shared. The red planet's air was becoming breathable faster than anyone had thought possible. In the asteroid belt, mining crews had developed new techniques that tripled their metal collection. They learned to use the low gravity and vacuum of space in ways the aliens had never considered. Most amazing of all, the generation ship Wanderer had not only survived its journey to unexplored space, but had found 3 new worlds suitable for human colonies. The isolation was supposed to destroy humanity. Instead, it was making them stronger. But the galaxy was starting to feel problems from their decision. Trade routes that had depended on human efficiency began experiencing delays. Some alien colonies that relied on human farming techniques were facing food shortages. On the alien capital world, Council member Vethera of the Crystal Valar race studied the latest reports. Her crystalline body flickered with worry as she read about human colonies not just surviving but growing. "This is not what we expected," she whispered to herself. The reports were disturbing. Humans were developing new technologies at an incredible rate. Without access to alien science, they were creating their own solutions that often worked better than established methods. More troubling were the secret messages some alien species were sending to each other. A few were beginning to question whether isolating the humans had been wise. But Vethera's concerns were interrupted by an urgent alert. Strange readings were coming from the edge of known space. Ships were moving at impossible speeds using energy signatures that matched no known technology. The readings looked familiar, but that was impossible. The Devourers had been extinct for 10,000 years. Meanwhile, on a human colony world called Haven, Captain Song Min was teaching her daughter to drive a farming tractor. The colony had been cut off from Earth for months, but life continued normally. "Remember, honey, keep the speed steady," Song Min said as her 8-year-old daughter Ji carefully steered the large machine through the crop fields. Haven was one of humanity's agricultural worlds, growing food for other colonies. When the isolation began, many people thought these farming colonies would be the first to fail without Earth's support. Instead, they had become more productive than ever. "Mom, why did the aliens stop talking to us?" little Ji asked as she brought the tractor to a stop. Song Min looked across the green fields where hundreds of colonists worked under the bright sun. How could she explain galactic politics to a child? "Sometimes people get scared of things they don't understand," she said finally. "The aliens think we're different from them and that scares them." "Are we different?" Ji asked. Song Min smiled and hugged her daughter. "Yes, we are. We care about each other. We help people even when it's hard. We never give up even when everyone says we should." "Is that bad?" "No, sweetie. That's what makes us human." Unknown to Song Min, her world was about to become the testing ground for those human qualities. Deep in space, ancient machines were awakening. The Devourers had returned, and they were hungry for worlds like Haven. The first confirmed Devourer attack came on the industrial world of the Lax Prime, an alien colony on the galaxy's edge. The entire planet was stripped bare in less than 6 hours. No survivors, no wreckage, just empty space where a world of 10 million beings had existed. The Galactic Confederation's response was predictable. They pulled back their fleets to protect the core worlds. They abandoned the outer colonies and hoped the ancient threat would burn itself out in the empty regions of space. But the isolated human settlements couldn't retreat. They were trapped beyond the alien blockade, directly in the path of the approaching Devourer fleets. The aliens expected the humans to panic, to beg for help, to finally admit they needed the galaxy's protection. Instead, the humans did something no one expected. They prepared to fight. On mining stations and farming worlds, in asteroid bases and generation ships, humans began converting their peaceful equipment into weapons. Drilling lasers became ship cannons. Farming tractors were armored for combat. Cargo haulers were loaded with improvised explosives. The galaxy had isolated humanity, expecting them to become weak and dependent. Instead, they had created something the universe hadn't seen in 10,000 years, a species ready to face the Devourers with nothing but determination and each other. The ancient machines were coming, but they were about to learn what it meant to fight beings who never surrendered. 2 years after humanity's isolation began, the first alien world started to disappear. Admiral Kong Wu sat in his command chair aboard the Earth ship Defiant, reading reports that made his stomach turn. Entire planets were vanishing without warning. No distress calls, no escape pods, no survivors. Just empty space where millions of beings had lived the day before. "Sir," Communications Officer Yunha said, her voice shaking, "we're getting scattered messages from beyond the blockade. Something called the Devourers has returned." The name sent chills through everyone old enough to remember the ancient stories. The Devourers were supposed to be legend, a nightmare from 10,000 years ago. Giant machines that ate entire star systems before disappearing into the dark between galaxies. The aliens had always said these stories were just myths. They were wrong. The first confirmed attack happened at dawn on the Lax Prime, a major industrial world. The planet's defense fleet was the most advanced in that sector, equipped with the best alien technology. It lasted exactly 43 minutes against the Devourer ships. When the battle ended, the Lax Prime was gone. Not destroyed, not damaged, simply consumed. 12 billion beings had lived there. Now there was nothing but empty space and floating debris. The alien response was exactly what everyone expected. The Galactic Confederation ordered all fleets to fall back to the core worlds. They abandoned the outer colonies, sacrificing the rim to save the center. Species after species pulled their people back, hoping the ancient enemy would tire itself out eating empty worlds. But the isolated human settlements couldn't retreat. The alien blockade trapped them outside Confederation space, directly in the path of the approaching Devourer fleets. The aliens expected the humans to panic, to finally beg for help, to admit they needed the galaxy's protection. Instead, the humans did something that shocked everyone. They fought back. Captain Song Min stood on the observation deck of Haven Colony, watching her people prepare for war. The agricultural world had no military ships, no advanced weapons, just farming equipment and 3,000 determined colonists. "They want our world?" Song Min announced over the colony's communication system as the first Devourer scout ships appeared in the sky. "Let them come and take it." What happened next broke every rule of warfare the galaxy knew. Human farmers drove their tractors directly at the landing Devourer machines, ramming into alien metal with desperate fury. The irrigation systems that watered the crops were turned into explosive traps. Greenhouse buildings became missile launchers, firing containers of fertilizer that created massive explosions. The colonists had no military training, but they fought with a creativity that confused the Devourer combat programs. The ancient machines were designed to fight organized armies, not desperate farmers using crop-dusting planes as fighter jets. For 6 days, Haven held out against forces that should have consumed them in hours. The victory sent shock waves through the secret communication networks that still connected the galaxy. Other human settlements began reporting similar impossible successes. On the mining station Prosperity, Captain Li Dao converted asteroid drilling equipment into ship-killing weapons. His crew of 200 miners destroyed an entire Devourer squadron using modified mining lasers and explosive charges meant for breaking rocks. The research outpost on Kepler 442b, led by Dr. Park's son, discovered that their electromagnetic equipment could disable devourer harvesting machines. They shared this information with every human settlement they could reach. Most shocking of all was the defense of New Harmony mining station. Captain Kim Tae and his crew of 50 people held off a devourer fleet for 8 days using nothing but determination and mining equipment turned into weapons. The humans weren't just surviving the devourer attacks. They were winning. On the alien capital world, emergency council meetings ran day and night. Species leaders who had barely spoken to each other for centuries now worked together, united by fear. The Valar have lost 4 crystal worlds, reported one council member, his voice filled with despair. The Vortak colonies in the Centaurus gas clouds are gone, added another. Our logical defense strategies aren't working, admitted a Nexari representative, its mechanical voice expressing something close to panic. The devourers adapt to every tactic we use. But the most disturbing reports came from the isolated human territories. Despite being cut off from all support, despite facing the same enemy that was destroying advanced alien civilizations, the humans continued to achieve victories that seemed impossible. How are they doing it? Asked Council Member Vethera, her crystal body flickering with confusion. The answer came from a secret recording made by a surviving alien observer near Haven Colony. The transmission showed human defenders making decisions that violated every principle of military science. They used emotional responses instead of logical planning. They took desperate risks that should have failed. They refused to retreat even when defeat seemed certain. Most importantly, they fought for each other with an intensity the galaxy had never seen. They're not following any strategy we understand, the observer reported. They make decisions based on feelings, not facts. They sacrifice themselves for people they barely know. It's like they're fighting with their hearts instead of their minds. The alien council members looked at each other in growing realization. For 2 years, they had isolated humanity because these emotional responses seemed dangerous and unpredictable. Now those same qualities were the only things working against the devourers. In the darkness beyond known space, more devourer fleets were awakening. Ancient machines that had slept for millennia were stirring, drawn by the scent of a galaxy rich with life to consume. But they faced something they had never encountered before in their long existence. A species that refused to give up, no matter how hopeless the situation appeared. The humans stood alone against the dark and somehow, impossibly, they were winning. The desperate message reached Captain Park J aboard the settlement ship Perseverance through hidden communication channels. The voice belonged to Commander Zethkira of the Crystal Valar race, and it shook with fear unlike anything the aliens had ever shown before. Please, the translated voice crackled through static. I know we have no right to ask this. We abandoned you. We turned our backs on your entire species. But we need help. Our homeworld is going to die. Park J studied the tactical display showing the Lar Prime surrounded by dozens of devourer ships. The crystal world that had been one of the strongest supporters of human isolation now faced complete destruction. His crew of 200 had been cut off from Earth for over 2 years, forgotten by the same aliens who now begged for their assistance. By every reasonable measure, he should ignore the message and let the aliens face their fate alone. Lee Sul, he called to his navigation officer, plot a course for the Lar Prime. Maximum speed. Sir, Chief Engineer Chobin spoke up, concern clear in her voice, that system is deep inside Confederation space. We'll be breaking the blockade they set up against us. Park J looked at his crew. They were farmers, miners, and scientists who had volunteered to build new colonies far from Earth. None of them were soldiers, but they all shared something the galaxy didn't understand. When someone needs help, we help them, he said simply. That's what makes us human. The Perseverance was not a warship. It was a colony vessel designed to carry families and farming equipment to new worlds. But Park J's crew began converting their peaceful ship into something that could fight. Agricultural processors became bomb factories. Cargo containers were filled with explosive fertilizer. The ship's mining equipment was modified into improvised weapons. Most importantly, the crew worked together with a determination that amazed even themselves. They arrived at the Lar Prime just as the final Devourer assault began. The crystal world's surface glowed with the light of dying cities as the ancient machines harvested everything they could consume. The human ship was tiny compared to the Devourer fleet, but Park J had advantages the aliens couldn't understand. He was desperate, creative, and had absolutely nothing to lose. All hands, this is the captain, he announced over the ship's communication system. We're going to do things that don't make sense to anyone else. Trust each other, follow your instincts, and remember that sometimes the craziest plan is the only one that works. What followed was unlike any space battle in recorded history. The Perseverance attacked the massive Devourer ships using tactics that violated every rule of space combat. They rammed cargo containers filled with explosives directly into enemy hulls. They used the gravity of the Lar Prime's moons to slingshot around and strike from impossible angles. They coordinated with desperate the Lar ground forces in ways that confused both sides. Most shocking of all, they won. When the last Devourer ship retreated into hyperspace, Commander Zethkira's crystal form shimmered with amazement as she contacted the human ship. "Why?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. "Why did you come? We turned our backs on you. We isolated your entire species. We treated you like criminals." Park Jae's answer was simple and honest. Because it was the right thing to do. The news of human intervention spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Secret communications networks that had been quiet for 2 years suddenly buzzed with activity. More and more alien species began openly defying the isolation order, reaching out to human settlements for help against the Devourer threat. The carefully maintained blockade began to crumble as desperate worlds chose survival over pride. On the Vorthak gas mining platforms, Administrator Kor then received a message from the human colony ship Wanderer offering tactical assistance. His superiors had ordered him to reject all human contact, but 3 Devourer fleets were approaching his sector. "Regulations be damned," he muttered, opening communication channels to the humans. "We need help." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The rigid Nexary machines found that human emotional decision-making somehow worked better against Devourers than logical algorithms. The proud Zalani discovered that human willingness to sacrifice for others achieved victories their careful planning could not. But the greatest shock came when intercepted Devourer communications were finally decoded. The ancient machines had been studying their new enemies, trying to understand why their proven tactics failed against humans. "These beings fight without logic," one transmission read. "They make decisions based on unmeasurable factors. They risk their lives for others without calculating personal benefit. Our combat systems cannot predict their responses." The galaxy had spent 2 years afraid of human unpredictability. Now that same unpredictability was the only thing keeping worlds alive. However, the Devourers were learning. Their next target would test human resolve like never before. Long-range sensors detected the largest Devourer fleet ever assembled moving toward the heart of Confederation space. They were heading directly for the alien capital world. Admiral Nam Ki aboard the Earth ship Unbreakable received the distress signals from across the galaxy. Every species that had voted to isolate humanity was now begging for help. The same aliens who had called humans too dangerous to exist in galactic society were asking those same humans to save their lives. "Sir," Communications Officer Han Su reported, "we're receiving an official transmission from the Confederation Council. They're requesting immediate assistance." Nam Ki looked out at the stars where humanity's scattered fleets were already moving toward the crisis. His people had been abandoned, isolated, and treated like galactic criminals. And now they were the galaxy's only hope. "Send a reply," he ordered. "Tell them we're on our way." The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin, and humanity would face it the same way they faced everything else. Together, determined, and refusing to abandon those who needed them. Even those who had abandoned them first. Admiral Nam Ki stood on the bridge of Earth's newest warship, the Unbreakable, as it emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Confederation capital system. Around him spread the largest human fleet ever assembled, ships from Earth, Mars, the asteroid colonies, and dozens of settlement worlds that had answered the desperate call for help. The sight before them was terrifying. Hundreds of massive Devourer vessels surrounded the alien capital world like a dark cloud of death. Their black hulls absorbed all light as they prepared to consume the most important planet in known space. The Confederation's defensive fleets formed neat, orderly lines around their homeworld, but their formations looked helpless against the ancient enemy. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Han Su, "we're receiving a transmission from the Confederation Council. They're asking for our immediate assistance." Nam Ki studied the tactical display showing the desperate situation. 2 years ago, these same aliens had voted to isolate humanity, calling them too dangerous for galactic society. Now those same beings were begging the humans to save their lives. "Open a channel to all human ships," Nam Ki ordered. His voice carried across space to thousands of human crews who had left their families and homes to help the people who had abandoned them. "This is Admiral Nam Ki to all human forces. The galaxy turned its back on us, but we will not turn our backs on them. Today we show the universe what humanity truly stands for. All ships, attack formation. Let's save some lives." The battle that followed would be remembered by every species in the galaxy for thousands of years to come. The human ships didn't fight the way anyone expected. Instead of careful, measured tactics, they struck with desperate courage and impossible strategies. Captain Jiang Su of the Determination aimed his ship directly at a massive Devourer command vessel, ramming into it at full speed while his crew escaped in lifeboats seconds before impact. Commander Imda led a squadron of converted mining ships in a coordinated suicide attack that collapsed an entire section of the Devourer fleet. Her last transmission before her ship exploded was simple: for everyone who calls this galaxy home. But the most amazing thing wasn't the human sacrifice. It was how they fought alongside the alien forces they had come to save. Human captains shared their battle plans instantly with the Lar Crystal ships. Earth fighters coordinated perfectly with Vortak gas cloud vessels. The rigid Nexary machines found themselves working in harmony with emotional human crews who made split-second decisions based on intuition rather than calculation. The Lar Squadron, this is human ship Defiant, Captain Omin transmitted as she maneuvered her vessel between alien fighters and Devourer attackers. Follow my lead. We're going to try something crazy. Acknowledged, human friend, came the reply from Commander Vethera, her crystal voice filled with gratitude and wonder. The Devourers had never faced anything like this coordinated chaos. Their ancient combat programs were designed to fight logical, predictable enemies. They couldn't understand opponents who made decisions based on feelings, who risked everything for strangers, who refused to retreat even when victory seemed impossible. Admiral Nam Ki watched from the Unbreakables bridge as human and alien forces worked together in ways the galaxy had never seen. A Zalani cruiser and a human cargo hauler combined their weapons to destroy a Devourer harvester. Vortak scouts guided Earth fighters through gas clouds to strike enemy weak points. Sir, Han Su reported, his voice filled with amazement, the Confederation fleet is adapting to our tactics. They're starting to fight like us. It was true. The careful, logical alien formations were breaking apart as commanders began making emotional decisions, taking desperate risks, and coordinating in real time like their human allies. The turning point came when the largest Devourer mothership moved toward the planet's surface, preparing to begin the final harvest. Nam Ki knew that if that ship reached the surface, billions of alien civilians would die. All human ships, this is the Admiral, he broadcast. Final attack formation. Everything we have at that mothership. No holding back. What followed was the most desperate assault in galactic history. Hundreds of human ships, from massive Earth battlecruisers to tiny mining vessels, threw themselves at the ancient enemy. Many didn't survive the attack, but their sacrifice created an opening for the alien fleets to strike the mothership's core. The explosion when the mothership died lit up the entire system like a new star being born. As the remaining Devourer ships retreated into dark space, the communication channels filled with voices from across the galaxy. Alien commanders thanked human crews they had never met. Species that had barely spoken to each other for centuries now worked together to rescue survivors and repair damaged ships. Admiral Nam Ki, came a transmission from the Confederation Council, we owe you an apology that can never be large enough. We were wrong about humanity. We were wrong about everything. 3 months later, representatives from every species in known space gathered on the neutral world of Harmony Station for the signing of the new Terran Accords. The document didn't just welcome humanity back into galactic society. It recognized them as protectors and partners, valued for the very qualities the galaxy had once feared. President Choi Min signed the accords alongside alien leaders who now understood what they had almost lost. As she put her name on the historic document, she spoke words that would echo through history. The day the galaxy turned away from us, we stood firm. Not because we were stubborn, but because standing firm for what's right is what makes us human. In the months that followed, human ships took up positions along the galaxy's edge, watching for threats from the darkness between stars. Children of dozens of species learned new stories about the humans who chose to help even when the entire galaxy had abandoned them. The galaxy had turned away from humanity because they feared human differences. In the end, they discovered that those differences were exactly what the galaxy needed to survive. Humanity had stood firm when everyone else ran away and in doing so, had saved them all.